given that the youth groups don't have that much time with kids and don't see them that often, is there a format or some sort of general guidelines that you can suggest that might be adequate to what you're saying about teaching those kindness and knowing that you have a multi-age group?
Yeah, so my recommendation would be to start with the leaders in your centers. Have them come up with 3 things that are really important that you want kids to know and be able to do, right? Just 3. And make those visible for the kids. Draw them in pictures if you can. And again, let's assume they are, God exists, having kids making kids aware that God exists, having them be kind in their behavior, and letting them know that the soul is immortal, or that reincarnation. But whatever those 3 things, make them 3 simple things, and you can change those 3 things, but start with 3, and share those 3 things with the kids, and then have discussions about it. One thing that Shelli and I did at our schools, we ran something called morning meetings. And they don't need to happen in the morning, but for sake of calling them something. And this is a process through an organization called Responsive Classroom. How do you have a responsive classroom? And the format went something like this. And Shelli, you were so much better at this.
I knew you were going to pull that out.
You have a message.
Yeah, you do. You start with a greeting. You always have some where every child is said hello to. So it can be one by one. So in our little grades, when we're learning names, you might be singing a song about somebody who's here today. As kids get older, or as you get to know each other better, it can be group greetings that go a little bit faster, or mingling greetings. But every child should be said hello to. Then we have an activity, a share. So the first thing is everyone gets to share something. Sometimes I don't know what your numbers are.
Let me clarify, because people think share like you bring something in to share. No, there'll be a prompt like, what color? Like if you were a color, what color would you be? Tell us something you did this weekend, or what's your favorite food?
We're talking about being kind, so you might ask if that's your theme or that's what you're riffing off of. You might ask, let's turn to a partner and tell 3 kind things you did last week, and give them some think time, and they can share with that. Then you might want to pull out a couple of people to do, I call them solo performances, where they share with the whole crew, but it doesn't have to be, depending on the numbers. I don't know how many people.
About 6 to 10.
Oh yeah, probably you'll have time for everyone to get to share out loud. So then we do an activity, which is a fun, think team building. They might do, let's think of a fun activity. There's one called the Four Corners, where kids mingle. You've got music going, and the music stops, and you go to one of the 4 corners, and then you ask a question. And at those 4 corners, there will be a different group of kids every time, and you'll ask some provocative question. What's your favorite book that you've ever read, or what's your favorite TV show, or something. It could be something along your theme.
Or activity could be, thumb wrestling or rock, paper, scissors. There's lots of, think of an icebreaker activity.
Yeah.
And you follow that up.
Something fun, right? Something because now you're infusing joy and connection, and then you have a message. And that message will contain some hint about the rest of the time in class. Yeah. Some idea of what is yet to come. Oftentimes our teachers would give a little bit of a preview of the day, or talk about their big projects, something that gives the kids a connection to the teacher, but also an idea of what's happening.
And that message can be your lesson for the day if you only have an hour with them.
Yeah.
And we can provide, we'll provide this as an outline to you with some activities. But again, a greeting, make sure everybody is said hello to. And you can, we'll talk about a couple of greetings. Sometimes the kindergartners, they make up their own handshakes or something. Come on, Will. So you would pass it around in a circle. Yes. I can't stand up. All right. Well, this is even better. Yeah. Come on, Will. So you get to start the greeting. I'll pass it on this way.
So one of my favorites, especially when, I'm in trouble. Okay. Hello. Let's see if I can remember, because I need little kids to help me with this. It's a really great one for older and little kids to do together. It's called the jackhammer greeting. Are you ready?
I don't know if I know this one yet. You'll have to teach it to me.
All right. Thumb. Here. Thumb. Do you see how we're doing it? Yeah. There. Hi, Nicole.
Hi, Shelli. Come on.
Oh, what? I was like,
Hi, Chris.
hi, Nicole.
And then you pass it around. Sometimes the kids like to do like butterfly greetings, or they do a high five or a handshake. By handshakes, it's a great time to like teach lessons about like what's a good handshake look like. Like you grab hands, and then usually you get like the fish hands or something. Like you're like no, you really shake hands, eye contact. And sometimes we just pass looks around, like what do you call them when you?
Oh, loving gazes of love and kindness.
Gazes of love and kindness. And they just pass it around. And so it's a great way to tell kids how to greet each other, right?
And beautiful in a youth group because you have a real value system that you're leaning on, right? So you can really pull some of those values that you really believe in and teach them in those circle practices, in those greeting practices, in the activities, in the messages, sometimes in much easier and bigger, phenomenal ways than we can in our neighborhood public schools and our public school system. So lean on that and love that. I think one of the things that is really important when we're talking about morning meeting that really engage the kids, it's predictable. They know what's coming. So when you only have a limited amount of time, it's really nice, especially with 6-year-olds, to give them something predictable that they expect. Give your older kids a chance to, by the time our kids are in 3rd grade, they're planning the morning meetings. So your 12-year-olds can give you insight. They can lead activities. They can decide.
They can start Googling the greetings. I mean, like you just Google like morning meeting greetings, and like there will be hundreds of them. And then after the greeting, again, like you share. Just have a prompt in mind. Like, what is something unexpected that happened this week? What's your favorite food? Get to know each other. Build that connection, right? If we in youth group teach children how to care and connect about each other, I would call that a win. If I were to create, what are my 3 goals for the youth group that we have? It's that kids connect and are kind to each other. Like, what a win would that be if we teach kids just to be kinder to each other, right? Like, I think sometimes we get so ambitious as teachers too. Like, I'm so guilty of this as a teacher. And even like before I had kids and now that I have kids, I have all these rules and all these things that I want to have happen. But sometimes picking less things is so much more impactful. Like, what if we just really deeply help kids to become better humans? Like, they'll be fine. If we instill in them a love for reading, like they can read any book we put in front of them. So that's the greeting. You have a fun share, like something, and it could be deeper. Like if your group is sort of a serious group, you can have them share something personal. What's a time when you felt really sad? What was a time when somebody helped you feel better? There's a cute story about filling your bucket. Like, what's something that fills your bucket? Like reading some of those anchor pieces. And then a fun activity. We often forget that this needs to be fun. And sometimes kids will show up because their parents made them. So we need to do something fun. And if you just Google icebreakers, like there's so many different fun games and activities that you can do that take 5-10 minutes. You're gonna have fun. Like there's no rule that says like, and now you're gonna be here for an hour and be miserable.
But prepare yourself because with fun comes some unexpected behaviors. So back to the presentation, right? We start when we teach morning meeting. We start by teaching how do we act in morning meeting? What is our way of being? How do we take care of each other in morning meeting? How do we sit in the and even 12-year-old, I mean more than 5-year-olds usually need reminders of what it looks like to be part of a group. I have 3 rules. Well, I guess a lot of people do, but take care of yourself, take care of each other, and take care of our community. And basically those 3 rules can be really any rule now fits in there, right? But sitting in a circle, how do we take care of each other in our circle?
And then you have that message. And the message is usually written by the person leading the group. So it could say, if your class has a name, my son's class is called the Gemstone Geologists. Kindergartners. I don't know how they came up with this. But it would say, Dear Gemstone Geologists, today we're going to learn about kindness. Or today we're going to learn about reincarnation. Today we're going to study a story about Jesus. I'm really excited because I like this story for these reasons. Or I think it'll be fun because of this. And then at the end it says, thank you or love Nicole, and you sign it. So you teach them about what it means to write a loving note to somebody with details, and it foreshadows what they're going to do, and then you have the lesson for the day. don't worry about 101 different art and scissor projects, because you know what? Most kids nowadays, those worksheets, those like, they don't like them. We don't even use them in school anymore. And I think so often we're like, oh, we got to do like an art project. And I think those are fine. Those are fun, but you're going to stress yourself out and you're going to burn out your team, and nobody's going to want to lead your youth group, right? It's so hard to recruit people to do this. But if you give them a fun format, like, hey, easy, Shelli, like, can you take over for me on Saturday? Look, you're going to do this greeting. You're going to do the butterfly greeting. And then you're going to ask them what their favorite food is. And then they're going to do rock, paper, scissors game. Here's the morning message, and here's the piece they're going to read. People will actually do it because it's easy. They're not like, what am I supposed to do? So that was a really long way to answer your question, Daniel.
This training is sometimes, we do this over a week. Like it can be, it's based in work that we've done and our own trial and error. So feel free if that is something anyone, it can be a day, it can be a couple days, but that is certainly something.
And we'd be happy to put on a training for you just to volunteer and do that, because that's easy. We're going to sit down again.
Yeah, is that okay?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So it's all great, what you guys said, and that's what we're trying to do. So in our group, we have the format a little different. We have 3 different classes, and there are like 6 to 9, 10 to 13, and 14 to 17. So they're in different little classes, about 10 in each group, 8 to 10 kids. And the format that we have for the class is reading, and then a little like material that we're going to use for the class, and a motivation, like sort of like a anticipatory teaser that taught me.
Nice.
And then living the concept, and then explaining the concept. So the explaining the concept portion is where we kind of instill like Spiritist like teaching, like from the gospel or from the Spirit's book. But the challenge right now that we have, especially with the 14 to 17, because it is a new group, so it's the kids who have done the previous classes and now they're old enough and super bored and don't like it, so now they're 14 to 17, and we kind of wanted to give them a different perspective. It's leaving the concept. It's really hard for us to come up with idea to make them actually experience forgiveness, for example, whatever it is that we choose as the topic for the class. So I don't know if you guys ever encountered any ideas of like out there, okay, so activities, games that you can do so they can actually get sort of hands-on experience, something like that, because they say you have to make it fun, otherwise it's boring.
Yep.
It's really hard to make it fun every time.
It is hard. It's totally hard.
Well, and some of those cerebral value messages are super hard to like do a compact, unless it's a storytelling, right? I think for us, sometimes how we get at those really deep values is through storytelling. Starting off, like, tell me about a time that you had to forgive somebody, rather than trying to make it a game. I think that is very hard. I mean, it's something we cross as educators all the time. Like, I want to teach this really deep concept. It's hard to teach in 10 minutes.
What I found, and Jill Provisor from Council did this, I'm thinking about the Mysteries Council.
Yeah.
Where at the beginning of the term, whenever you guys start making this change, you have the students sit in council, and I think Bernadette let you guys in like a council yesterday, is that right? Or like a circle?
Yes.
And so the council is just a type of circle activity, and what you do is you create some ground rules, and you have the kids write down things that they're wondering about, and they don't have to be spiritually related, but like, what are some big questions that you have in your life? And when I set this up for kids would come up with questions like, why did my dad leave? Where's grandma? I miss my dog, right? And you put them all in a hat, and you don't tell people who wrote what, but you read those questions and you use those questions as like the content for the future. Like, what are you wondering about? Like, right? You're wondering about where's grandma? Like, let's have that conversation. You're wondering about why did dad leave, or why is my aunt drinking, or why, right? And you can talk about some of these things that are real life examples, because I think they want to talk about their life. But there are like, everything we do is related to us as spiritual beings. And so there's stuff there, right? Like, why won't anyone talk to me at school? Why do I have no friends? Why is so-and-so mean to me? And use that as your curriculum for the next 10 or 12 weeks based on.
Mm-hmm. Yay! Oh.
Have them come set it up, and I can talk a little bit. We can brainstorm about how to set it up so that they really come with like deeper thoughts rather than just like.
Oh, you'll get plenty of non-deep thoughts,
Yeah.
right? Sometimes you have to probe, and that's
Why can't I have pizza for
too.
breakfast?
Yeah.
And he has them. He's the educator for that, so.